Hi everyone, it's Laura here, and today I want to talk about this lovely little plant here, bird's nest fern. This is a great plant to have in your collection. I've had this one actually for a couple years now. It hasn't grown super big, but they can get extremely large actually if they're in the right conditions. And so I just wanted to talk about this plant today, and I definitely would recommend this right off the bat, especially if you're kind of new to plants. This might be an easier one, but let's talk. I do think there are some things that is important to know about the bird's nest fern. So if you're someone that loves ferns, but you don't love the care of ferns, this actually would be a great one to start with, because this is on the easier end of ferns. Now, if you know anything about like maidenhair ferns, you know how difficult and touchy they can be. Here's an example of the maidenhair fern. It's absolutely beautiful. I just had to put this clip in here, but it's tough to take care of. So this is not anything like that at all. And I just want to jump right into talking about this. So the bird's nest fern, it is a, I'd say slower to maybe, depending on if you give it the conditions that it needs, slower to moderate growing plant. And it does like sunny conditions, but it will tolerate lower light. And it is very, you obviously don't want to put in, most plants you don't want to put in direct sun, because you'll start to get, and you might be able to see it there, that little kind of little edge there, you'll start to get crisping and burning like that as well. As far as humidity, these plants, even though most ferns, as you know, love their humidity, this actually can tolerate lower levels of humidity than most ferns can. But of course it will do better if you give it higher levels of humidity. As far as watering, I actually let it dry out almost completely before watering. In fact, sometimes I don't want to say it's like a succulent, because it's not, but it does have kind of the watering tendencies almost like a succulent. It doesn't seem to change much the way that it looks when I skip waterings. So, you know, I may water it every 10 days, and it's still, if that. Of course, in the wintertime, you want to scale back a little bit, but I may water it every 10 days, and it still will look pretty similar. One of the things that's super important when you're watering is to make sure not to water directly in the center there. That actually can increase the risk for root rot and mold. And if you see there, you can actually see there's a new little leaf unfurling there, but that is actually where the leaves come from. So you can kind of see one right there in that little center area there, where another leaf is coming, getting ready to I let it dry out completely in the soil, and that seems to be the best thing. I think over watering definitely, you can run into root rot. As far as how the new little, you can see the little, new little unfurling there of the new leaf, which is kind of cute. And like I said, it's kind of a slower to moderate growth plant. Healthy plants can actually have fronds that grow up to 5 feet long, but this is typically outdoors. But when it's kept indoors, they can actually grow up to 2 feet long. Bird's nest ferns typically like a little bit of a warmer temperature, anywhere between 60 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. It can tolerate all the way down to 50 degrees. Sometimes I will keep it out a little bit longer, but you definitely don't want it to get under 50 degrees Fahrenheit. One of the pests that you may come upon is, this one is particularly notorious for scale. And this is something that I've actually been battling as recently as the winter months. I haven't had a problem with this before. It did start to kind of look like it was deteriorating a bit, and lo and behold, I went and looked and found a bunch of scale on it. Now, if you know anything about scale, scale is just a ridiculous problem that it's a never-ending battle, it feels like. One plant shop owner, his name is Tanner the Planter, you can check him out on TikTok. He actually recommends this solution right here. I have not tried it yet for scale, but I am thinking about trying it. I may have to do a little bit of research to see if it would be okay to use on ferns, but it may be what I'm going to use to see if I can take care of it. Right now, I've been using the Bronner's peppermint soap and using a toothbrush and cleaning them off, but they do keep coming back, and so that is something that this is notorious for. I'm trying to see if I have one on there that I can actually show you, but I don't think that I do. Actually, you might be able to see, I don't know, that little thing right there, that little dot right there, that's actually scale. that actually is scale right there. And so that's kind of frustrating because like I just got done cleaning this entire thing and they just keep seeming to pop up everywhere. And it will cover the entire leaf, and so you'll have to, I use just a toothbrush and that peppermint soap, the Bronner's peppermint soap, I just put it in, dilute it in some water. So you want to get rid of them. A lot of times it seems like they're on palms. I had another palm that I wasn't really taking care of very much, and it did develop some scale, and they can be really hard to see. I think here's another, you can actually see that one right there. And like I said, they'll kind of go, you can actually see that one right there. They'll actually go all over the plant, and it's kind of a little bit frustrating because you feel like they'll come back in a matter of a couple of days. So what else can I tell you? As far as fertilizing, I do not fertilize this very often. You could use the Osmocote pebbles. That would be great to use to fertilize. You could use Miracle-Gro, although some people have a pretty big aversion to Miracle-Gro. But any regular household fertilizer would be perfectly fine for this, and you don't need to do it very often. In fact, I think worm castings is the main thing that I've used in this, and it would probably grow a lot faster, but light is a super important thing. One of the other things I want to mention is that you have to be very careful about fertilizing too much and too many times throughout the year, because too much food can actually cause the fronds to have an abnormal shape or take on this yellow or brownish color. Important light is, if you don't have your lighting right, all of your plants, there's a chance that they're just not going to grow at all. And so even though this one can tolerate lower levels of light, it is going to grow bigger and better and just look overall better if it has higher light levels. And so yeah, so I would highly recommend this plant. You can see how pretty the leaves are, and it is kind of a tropical look. It doesn't require much care at all. It's not like typical ferns. It's definitely not as much care as required. It just has a little pot that I kept it in for probably a couple of years, and it really hasn't done too bad. The watering, I mean, honestly, I could even probably go 3 weeks and let it dry out completely, as I usually do the soil dry out completely, and it still does great. I do want to mention though, watering every 3 weeks is typically in the winter time for me, and when the plant, as a tip, a general rule, when it's getting more light and also in warmer months, then you'll need to increase that watering. Definitely giving it better conditions like high humidity and higher light is very helpful, but it's not necessary for it to still look somewhat decent. So, well, thank you for watching this video. I hope you like this video. If you like more videos like this, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel. Until next time.